Hey there, everybody. Behind me is a tunnel, and if I remember right, I think it was dug in 1927, I believe. Don't quote me, I might be wrong. But this is called the Boone Tunnel. Where we're at is we're located at the Kentucky River, where it crosses over from Mercer County, Kentucky, into Jessamine County, Kentucky. Behind me is Jessamine County. This tunnel is very rough hewn. It does have like curbs inside, and it's basically just dug out to access a shorter route to a bridge that used to be here. The bridge was built, I believe it was in 1926, and it was called the Brooklyn Bridge of all things. But of course, Brooklyn Bridge in Kentucky. It was, I believe it was 3 spans over the Kentucky River, and it was there until, if I recall correctly, I believe it was 1953 when a truck hauling food, like a, I'm not going to blame a company, but let's say a Swanson food truck, some type of truck, cargo truck hauling, I believe it was food stocks, made it through the first 2 spans, and on the 3rd span it crashed through the bridge, broke the bridge down. The driver of the truck, I believe, sustained some spinal injuries, but either way, that put paid to this bridge. The bridge was what had replaced, I believe before that bridge there was a ferry crossing, and there's currently a new bridge here which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. Well, let's take a little bit of time. The tunnel, like I say, dug out of the ground in 1927 to shorten the route. Beforehand, the trucks, cars, and everything that went by had to take a very long route traveling around the hillsides and the ridge lines here in Kentucky. Of course, the reason that truck in 1953 was able to fall through the bridge was because, of course, the bridge was built far, far earlier when there was more wagon traffic than there was vehicle traffic. And of course, as vehicles got bigger, heavier, they hauled more cargo, the bridge just wasn't rated for that kind of weight. And I've seen a lot of bridges here in Kentucky that have been made of wood and other things that have just over the years fell down, or a truck crashed through them because they just were not designed to sustain the weights of more modern vehicles. Anyway, let's take a look inside and see what we can see. You can see where some kids and maybe adults too have graffitied the rock a little bit. It seems like any surface that's flat, someone feels the need to paint on it. I wanted to start out back here and just kind of pan around a little bit and look at the tunnel where the lighting was pretty good outside before we entered the tunnel. And then we'll give you all a look inside. So, let's do that now. I'm doing my best to keep the camera still and keep from rocking it as I carry us through, because I don't want to have the video shaking all over the place. The one sound I'm not sure if the camera's picking up is, it's been raining a lot here recently in Kentucky, is the water dripping inside the tunnel, dripping through the rock ceiling. You can probably notice possibly that my voice echoes now because of being in the tunnel. I'm going to pan up to the ceiling and hope there's enough lighting in here for it to be seen. You can see it's kind of a flat ceiling where they stopped digging it out, and then off to each side you can see where it rapidly stair steps down. When they dug out tunnels like this, of course they were digging this pretty much by hand and using explosives. They would drill in with, let's say, a rod, and then after driving the rod in, plant explosives to loosen the rock and move forward a little bit. In fact, I'm going to move the camera over here. Now, I can't swear to it that that's one of their drill marks. In fact, I rather doubt it, but it might be. Because I did notice that those type marks I did notice those type marks are in different places along the rock wall. But you can see how the rock stair steps up, getting smaller and closer to the center as it goes. The interesting thing is, I'm sure, as you look around down here at the base, you can see where the rock has fallen. And of course, yeah, I'm taking a little bit of a risk being in here, but I don't figure the risk is that severe because of the fact that it's not likely that a rock is going to fall off at the exact point right over my head. If it does, well, I guess this will be one of the more expensive YouTube videos I made. And there's a big chunk of rock missing up there. And you can see cracks and fissures all in the rock, and water washes it loose a little at a time and lets it fall. You can kind of tell how long it's been since this tunnel's been used by seeing the tree growing up at the entryway back there. That tree is at least 6 inches around or more at its base, probably closer to 8. It's a fairly significantly sized tree. If I'm talking a little funny today, well, I always talk funny. I'm from Kentucky. What can I say? But if I'm talking a little funny compared to normal today, that's because I just came from the dentist. Looking down right here, you can see kind of buried in the rock, but there is a concrete curb there. And one thing that I noticed that I figured I'd mention is looking across the surface, you can see you would think paved surface. Well, it's not paved. This is concrete under my feet here. And the reason I want to mention that is I'm not sure exactly when they started using asphalt pavement, but years back, highways and all that I know of were pretty much all made with concrete, the road surfaces. And I guess paving was just easier and a quicker means to put down a surface on roads, so they went with paving. And up there, off in the distance a little bit, right where those trees are, in fact, I'll zoom in, you can see there's a guardrail put up there, and I'm sure that was placed when this tunnel was first closed to keep people from driving through it, even though it was closed. And taking another look at the ceiling, as soon as we get the lighting adjusted for the camera, if you notice up there in the ceiling here, you can see there's a pretty good sized chunk of rock missing. And at least on this end, looking from up above there, you can see that rock has fallen over the years. And in fact, right down here below, you can see some rather large chunks of rock. Now, if one of that size fell out on my head, I'd be pretty much toast. Well, either way, I think we've been inside the tunnel long enough. We've looked around. I'll turn us around and take us back out the way we come and show you the other side. Alrighty. Right here you can see the end of what's left of the road surface itself. And beyond that road surface is, you could say, the under embankment or the joint. And there went a squirrel racing by in a real big hurry, where the actual bridge itself mounted. And of course the bridge did not break loose from this end of the connection. You can see all the trees that are before us, so it gives you, again, an idea how long this bridge has been gone. It's been gone since the 1950s. I believe, like I said, it was either 53 or 55 when a truck fell through it, and that was the end of this bridge. So it fell on the far side, if I remember right, because the truck was coming from the direction of Lexington, heading toward either Shaker Village or Mercer County. Either way, it made it partially across and tumbled through the bridge. Let's move forward, and I'm going to see if I can get down here and hopefully try to get an image of the area here at the bridge itself. Putting the camera out over the side a little bit and just looking straight down at the bridge area. Well, here's the new bridge that replaced the old Brooklyn Bridge that was destroyed, like I said, in 1953. So after the cars pass, we'll take a walk out on the bridge along the little pathways and look at the bridge itself, and then down at the creeks nearby, or river up below, I should say. All right, well, we've made it out on the bridge, of course, and let me turn you so you can get a look around a little bit. Let's take a look around down the river a little bit while we're here on the bridge. Of course, again, like I said, this is the Kentucky River. You can see the rocks exposed above the tree level there. Of course, those are full-size trees, and that gives you kind of a little bit of perspective how high that rock is up. Using that rock as your perspective and then the horizon above it, how greater distance there is between the river itself, just the water level, and the top of those hills, kind of gives you possibly a perspective on how long this river has been here and how long it's been cutting through these hills to leave such a deep riverbed. Of course, there's no telling exactly how deep the water is actually in the riverbed itself, because we've had a good bit of rain lately and the river's higher than it used to be. Anyway, back over here to the left behind these trees is where the tunnel we were looking at earlier is, and where the bridge, basically the end or the abutment would be. That area this is facing into Jessamine County from Mercer County. To the right of this bridge is where the old bridge used to be. Now on this far side, of course, right over that log that's sticking up out of the water down there, or tree sticking up out of the water, that's where I'm going to assume that the other bridge embankment was, where that other bridge connected. The reason I say it, this bridge that we're on curves, as you can see looking at it to the right down there, but the old bridge went straight across. Let's take a look around just so you can see the beautiful countryside here. Sadly, it's kind of a dreary day today, and I'm going to go ahead and pause for now because there's just so many cars coming. Along with the rainstorms comes a cloudy and overcast sky, so you're not getting the beautiful blue skies that normally you'd see here in Kentucky. If I wanted to stay here maybe an hour or two, that might change. We might get some nice blue skies, but I'm not really planning on staying at the bridge for an hour or two. Well, let's cross the bridge and take a look downriver, or the downstream side under the bridge. I grew up here in Kentucky, and the beauty of this state never ever ceases to amaze me. There's just so much to see and so much to do if you just get out and wander around. Even along here, if you were down there in a boat, this would be a great view.